Hello everyone, this is Fede, and today I want to talk to you all TTRPG creators about mailing lists. Now, why do I want to talk about mailing lists? This is like a topic I've been harping on about for years now. It was, a bit of like industry knowledge that I got into very early, about like 8, 9 years ago when I first started doing TTRPGs. That mailing lists were basically the way to build an online audience. And why is this? Like, why is, to me at least, much more important before any sort of online presence in social media and stuff for you to have a mailing list? Well, there's two main reasons. First of all, mailing lists are essentially against other platforms. They store information in a way that is platform proof. This basically means that, like, because you're storing an email address, a name, and a last name, usually, instead of, a random sort of like data thing that you can't pry from the hands of Twitter or Blue Sky or Instagram or TikTok or whatever. It makes your audience basically immune to changes in platforms and migrations, the kind of which we had with X. Like the day, the people that just build their audience mainly on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, and that are part of the indie TTRPG, circuit. Well, they lost a lot of followers when a lot of people migrate to Blue Sky. And if tomorrow, as it probably will happen, Blue Sky turns into another like Nazi shithole or something like that, you will want to prevent that from happening to you. There's also a second reason. There's also things that are important that sort of like spring from that fact, from the fact that you're not beholden to one platform. For example, the fact that you're not beholden to the etiquette of that platform. This is something that me and other creators from the global south that have to go into platforms such as Blue Sky and have to essentially become hip to the etiquette of, United States or Anglophonic, rules of speech and stuff like that. This means that you don't have to abide to those things, and you can speak much more freely. You don't have to engage in like toxic positivity kind of like things. You can speak your mind in a much better way. So there's that. A lot of things that spring from that. And the other reason number two, is that versus the kind of process of being followed that you have in others in social media platforms, which basically someone comes usually anonymously, like an anonymous person, and just clicks on follow or clicks on subscribe or something like that. The degree of quality of commitment between that and the process of going to a personalized website, which looks pretty much something like this, like I'm showing right now, putting your email address, your first name and your last name, and agreeing to receive emails, which in the EU and the UK, for example, is legally bound by GDPR law, is much more committal than just clicking a follow and getting followed by a random person, which means that you have a much more trustworthy baseline from which to make estimates on how many people are going to back your projects, just purchase the stuff you create. If I have on the one side a mailing list of like 800 people, and on the other side a following of 5,000 blue sky followers in the TTRPG space, I will 100% stay with that 800 mailing list thing, because that number is much closer to the number of people you could estimate that might purchase your stuff against those 5,000 followers from this like social media thing that you don't even know if they're bots or whatever, or yeah, you know. So that's like a big thing. And another reason, actually, third reason, the which kind of comes to just adjunct to this second reason, is you're storing email addresses, first names and last names. These are bits of information that if the platform you're using, and we're going to talk about mailing list platforms, if the platform you're using does not serve you anymore, you can pretty much take all of that information into a CSV or an Excel file and just go somewhere else with it. This is something that is likely to happen down the road as we talk about the limitations of each platform. But it's like super important because it again makes you not beholden even to the mailing list tools and platforms that we use to send emails. Now, let's talk a bit about what gets sent. So I think generally the way I've been operating mailing list, you send emails only a couple times per year, because you don't want to be annoying to the people that are signed up to you. And if you abide to that, you will see that mailing lists generally just grow. They don't decline in numbers if you keep to that etiquette and not be annoying. And you always send emails where there's something actionable. What does that mean? Well, it means you send them something that they can interact with. For example, they can suddenly go into your Kickstarter that just launched and buy your things. If you published a free adventure or free module or an add-on for your game, they can go and get it. Make it interactive, make it interesting, that sort of thing, and only make it a couple of times a year. I'm gonna go to, for example, my here's my dashboard. I'm using MailChimp. This is the service that I use for my mailing list. You might see, if I go to see all my campaigns, which is the nomenclature that MailChimp uses to denote, sort of like the emails that you create. This you can ignore, our kind of sign up, that's a landing pages. This is regular emails. I've only sent September, July, June, April, 4 emails so far. One for voting for the Ennies, one which is an actionable thing, Zephyr backpack add-on, which also was like to download the thing. Nibiru, Zephyr, and the Rains to Come had basically a thing about the Nibiru Revisited Edition that they could action on, and State of Arcana, it didn't. But it's like an email you might want to send once a year to be like, okay, here's how we're going, what projects we're going to do and stuff like that. So it's for big things. You don't shitpost into the emails, and it's kind of great because compared to the amount of labor that involves maintaining an online presence in a social media platform, this is pretty big. Now, one thing that is very important to take a look at, and that also explains the way more traditional publishers in the TTRPG industry work, is the fact that if you take a look at the numbers of, for example, a publisher like Modiphius. Modiphius is a company that, when I left around 2020, had about a team of about between 20 and 30 full-time workers and upwards of 100 freelancers working across several IPs. Now, take a look at the following of Modiphius. It has only 7.6 20k followers in Blue Sky. If you go to like X and you just like go to the Modifius thing, you know, it's gonna be like, well, this is Japanese, sorry. It's near 20k, so 19,000 followers. That's quite a bit, but it really doesn't compare to the actual size of Modifius as a company. And the reason why is that Modifius has had, since its launch, a building mailing list, like a mailing list that they continuously build. I think that around 2015, 2016, Modifius mailing list was at least 10,000 strong. And that is the reason why even other companies, like for example, if you search Free League, Free League doesn't even have a Blue Sky presence. They of course have a, what's it called, in Twitter. It will have like, you know, yeah, 20,000 followers, but it's not that big given the size of the IPs they're working with. They're working with Alien, they're working with Blade Runner, they're working with you know, the Lord of the Rings, stuff like that. The reason why these traditional companies, or more traditionally built companies, can do this is because they have huge mailing lists, and you can trust that Cubicle 7, Chaosium, you know, Paizo, all of these companies have mailing lists that just allows them to, you know, have just dog shit social media interaction usually, and still, you know, launch to great fanfare for all of their projects. Of course, there's a lot that goes into launching a project from a big company, you know, IP recognition, brand recognition for the company itself, etc. But this is a big thing. So let's talk a bit about the platforms themselves. Now, there's going to be two types of platforms that I'm going to talk about. One type of platform is platforms that already have embedded mailing lists. What am I talking about? I'm talking about Itch. I'm going to talk about Kickstarter. I'm going to talk about TTRPG. Now, Itch has a following. If, for example, here there's a page, you can take a look at. This is the URL. It says interacting with your fans. So you can actually send emails to people who have bought your stuff in Itch. Now you don't have access, and this is the big thing, you don't have access to the actual email address as far as I know, and the name and last name, which is something that you will have generally in your standard mailing list service. But you can send an email to people that have bought your stuff. Then they may unsubscribe because, again, the way you're interacting with these people, like these people really haven't given their consent in a way that is as you know, direct as when you're filling out a sign-up sheet for a mailing list, which, by the way, looks kind of like this. You know, get the latest from Arcana, sign up with your email. We don't send a couple of emails. This is something like I did through MailChimp. You have your email address, first name, last name. You continue, you get sent an email to reconfirm. And this is, again, legally binding in the EU and the UK by GDPR laws, which are laws that do not exist everywhere in the world. I'm not sure if they exist in the US. For example, in Japan, they don't exist. I lived in Japan for several years, and you get so much marketing that is just very hard to unsubscribe from. So thank God for GDPR. We're going to be returning back to this idea of consent many times, but Itch has some sort of mailing list that you can send. For example, here you go to your dashboard, and you basically take a look at one of your products, and in those products, like, you'll have the option to interact, send email to people that have purchased that. This is particularly important because it will, for example, tell you, for example, for Zephyr, if you create a new email draft, it will tell you roughly, I think, how many people are going to get it. Actually, I can't find that. It doesn't matter. But yeah, you can just like all buyers here, which I don't know how many they are. I don't know. I think it's 1,600 something for Nibiru. I had seen it somewhere, but yeah, this is like an email you can send. And drive-through has something similar, but it limits you in that you can't. First of all, drive-through has. Here's the page that tells you about emailing about crowdfunding projects. But drive-through actually has, if we go to drive-through RPG, a sort of like mailing list that people get signed up onto when you purchase things. This is another thing like the itch thing that's, I think it's kind of scummy. There should be like an opt-in sort of thing. But you can send email to customers. It charges you the sort of like point currency thing to do this, and it's much more unwieldy than itch things. It charges you this like publisher promotion points when you do that. I think it charges you 5, and you can only link to stuff within the drive-through website. You can, however, as it says in this article here, reach out to them and schedule. This is something that you do by email. And schedule 2 emails if you're going to crowdfund, which is particularly big because if you're using itch and drive-through and stuff like that to, for example, send out a quick start guide of the game that you're going to launch, that quick start guide is basically giving you access to people that you can reach out to when you're launching. So that's the thing to have in mind. Drive-through and itch have very limited things that you can do with regards to mailing lists. Actually, Kickstarter has this too in an even more limited manner with their preview page. When you create a project and all the project bits that are important are approved, you get a preview page like this one I did for the next thing, the next edition of Nibiru, and you get a link, which is this, the URL that you can share around, and people basically can follow you. They can click notify me and lodge. You start racking out followers, and these people are going to get an email when the campaign launches, first of all, and secondly, 48 hours or 72 hours, I think one of those two, before the campaign ends. This is very important for Kickstarter. If you're doing a Kickstarter and you're not doing a pre-launch page, you need to get on that and promote that like crazy, because this is like this is a huge indicator, one of the most accurate indicators, probably one of the most accurate indicator of how many people will end up back in your campaign. You can trust probably that at least a third of these people will back your stuff, which is a lot actually in terms of estimations. So let's actually talk about the actual, MailChimp, Beehive. These are the 2 example mailing list platforms that I'm going to be talking about. So both MailChimp and Beehive offer you a launch thing, which is $0. This is what I use and I have been using for years. I haven't pushed my mailing list as much as I should have. That's something that I'm trying to change. But I did push it a lot at the beginning. And they both offer more or less up to 1,000. So MailChimp doesn't have a limit on how many people you can register to your newsletter, but it does have a hard cap on monthly email sends. So max of 1,000. That means that you may store more than 1,000 contacts. You can store unlimited contacts, but you will only be able to email 1,000 of them. So that's a hard cap on emails, and MailChimp is going to more or less be obsolete after you pass this, which I'm kind of getting near because I have 851. Beehive has a hard cap on subscribers on its free version, 2,500, which, by the way, is a lot. 2,500 subscribers is a lot. Do not think of subscribers to your mailing list in the same way as followers on any other social media, because as I've said before, these are high committal audience members we're talking about. This is not just a click and like a follow or something like that, or subscribe on YouTube or something like that. But it does have unlimited email sends, which is great. So I probably will shift from MailChimp to Beehive once I'm past this. And that is actually a good growth plan if you're using these two platforms, because while MailChimp does limit me once I pass this thing, it doesn't limit me on getting more subscribers. So if I go over that subscriber limit for some reason, because I just launched a Kickstarter and a bunch of people went through past that hard limit, I can then take all those people and move them over here. And then, whenever I have more than 2,000, I'm seeing that I'm getting to more than 2,500 subscribers, I'll worry about that at the moment. But yes, that's the thing. You can take that audience and take it elsewhere. So say that we go with MailChimp, and I'm going to use that because that's what I have. How do we sign up people? Well, we sign up people in, let's say, 3 or 4 different ways. First, you have your audience. You're going to see that this is 959 total contacts, 851 email subscribers. This here is blurred because, again, GDPR law, it's confidential information. You can't see these names, only I can see them. But of these contacts basically, they're more than the subscribers because for some reason you can't email all of these people. This includes the people that unsubscribed from mailing list or that the system unsubscribed because their emails keep bouncing for some reason. That's a topic that we'll come back to, like how to prevent emails from bouncing. Now, you can actually manually add contacts. For example, you can import contacts, which will be from a file, like an Excel file. And that's the beauty of this, the way you can, import stuff from a different file that is outside of the domain of any of these online platforms, or add a single contact. Now, adding a single contact is as simple as just writing their email, their first name, and their last name. There's a tag thing, depending on, for example, if you have several games and you want to separate your audience between, people that like Nibru, people that like Zephyr, etc. You can tag them. I don't use that, but whatever. But of course, do bear in mind that if your country is under GDPR laws, that you have consent for this. And I actually used this form in the beginning. When I first started making my mailing list back in 2016, what I would do, and this is a very pre-COVID kind of thing to do, is I would go to conventions, I would run my game, and I would run it basically having printed a pre-gen character sheet that not only had their pre-gen character, all of that stuff to play Nibru, but also had an email, a first name and last name field that I could just be like at the end of the session, hey guys, like I hope you had a lot of fun and enjoyed the thing, and if you want to know when the game is coming out and you want to know how I'm doing with creating new stuff and shit, you can just like write your email and name and last name there. The last name is not necessary, like the email is the only required thing, but generally you want to get at least the first name. And I would go then back home and sign them up manually, like this, one by one. Like going past your first 100 subscribers, it's a huge milestone with this kind of thing, with a mailing list. So I used to do that. If you have access to conventions, that's something you can do. That's something that to me was very fun, enriching, and a lot of like people that have been following me for years and reading pretty much all of my emails were from back then. So this is one method. And then the main way that afterwards your mailing list is going to grow is through forms. Now, a form can be a pop-up form, which is something like this. Let me actually just go to like oh, this is the snippet preview. So this is a form that is going to show up in your sort of like website. The service here, MailChimp, will give you a line of code that you can copy into your website, or you can link it depending on the website that you're using. For example, Squarespace and Wix. I have a Squarespace website, and it links it automatically with all their shebang to skip past coding and stuff. But Wix also has that. When they access your website, they'll see a pop-up. If I actually go to arcana.com, like it's gonna be a pop-up. This is generated by Squarespace itself, though it's not a thing from what's it called, from MailChimp. There's a bit here that they can sign up to the Arcana newsletter, and I have it programmed so that after a few seconds it should pop up. So this is one of those things. And then you should have also a form. So in MailChimp, if you go to forms, other forms, this is a sign up landing page. So this is an actual link. It's not a pop-up, it's a link that you can link onto like a Blue Sky post or send by email or anything that you just like. You just come here and you see this. This is a website that you can just copy this and put anywhere, and people just will sign up to that. So with that said, let me just go back for a moment to the audience bit. Let's see. Before that, a bit of talk about the emails themselves. I talked about the kind of content that you want to have in the emails. One thing that you might want to know is there are best practice for when to send emails. I generally want to send an email around lunchtime when people are having their lunch breaks, or at 5. This of course depends, like back then I was living in the UK, so I was going by UK time. If your main audience for Anglophone thing is in the US, you have to pick a coast and I guess coordinate to that. But generally, Friday at like midday, or after like 5 when people leave work is a good idea, because if you do it on Friday, even if people see the email notification and they don't read it at the moment, they might remember during the weekend to be like, oh, I should check that email that I received from Arcana, or something like that. 47% is a pretty good open rate. This is going to vary, and your click rate is basically telling you the amount of people that went into the email and clicked on something that you had there. So that's basically what these two means. 50% click rate is pretty good. You would like for that to be the case, I think. And then another thing that I want to talk about audience is, at least on MailChimp, audiences have a rating here. This basically is telling you that some people unsubscribed here. It says it tells you here, for example, where they came from. This is someone that I added. This is someone that signed a form. This is someone that came from a list. So there's plenty of information here. Squarespace, for example, people that got added through that. This rating thing from 1 to 5 stars basically tells you the degree of engagement that this person has with your mailing list. So the more stars someone has, the more likely it is that they read all your emails, click on the stuff that you send them, the less likely the email bounces. And there's actually an important thing when you're making your email, when you're making your campaign, for example. If you go and create a campaign, you'll get some sort of like template thing that you can design and set up. One thing to bear in mind is that generally you're going to see here to whom you're sending it. Well, to all email subscribers. You're going to want to personalize the send to field with merge tags. Merge tags basically take one of the fields of information that are not the email, of course, first name, last name, or first name and last name, and they're going to merge that into the email. The email having the name and or the last name of the person you're reaching out to is super important, because that's one of the key bits of information that mail clients use to determine if something is or isn't spam. So if you use this, it's going to basically make it way less likely for that to end up on spam. There's lots of like little, bits of advice here of like how to write a subject line, etc. But yeah, the email contact and stuff like that, that's something that you can just pick. The send time, you won't be able to schedule it unless you have a paid plan on MailChimp, but you can just send it at the time when you're actually sending it. So that's a thing. And then the content designed to show you like an example of what's it called, of one of the bits, one of the emails that I've done. Like for example, this looks like this. It says, hey all, long time no write. I want to give you a wider subscriber base of our content update on how things are going, sneak peeks. You can put here stuff that you haven't shown people on what's it called, on social media. Like make it special. I think that's one of the cool things you can do with this. But yeah, that's one of those things that I wanted to show. And what else? What else am I supposed to talk about? Let's see. Right, yes. The other thing that I wanted to talk about, maybe we can take a look at the campaigns here. You're going to get much more information here on, like, for example, how many people open your stuff, and you might want to take a look at how this changes from email to email. For example, the Nibiru Revisited Edition, the one that I first like sent to kind of like show the preview page and the fact that we're launching a new edition of Nibiru. Like it has way more clicks than other stuff, and you can see why, because like Nibiru is probably the most popular game I've done. That sort of information is very worth to have like access to, and that's the kind of information that of course you won't have in if you just have like a platform like Blue Sky or something like that as your main thing. The degree of like customization of these forms that we use also is quite deep, as you can see. Like there's different steps that are going to show here, and you can customize in many ways. I'm Sure, like Beehive has a similar system to it. But yeah, overall, I think that's more or less it in terms of what I wanted to show you. Mailing lists are uh, really good, I think, because they you're going to feel that as you build your mailing list and as you become, sort of like freed from the yoke of, platform economies and the sort of etiquette they instill, you can operate much more freely as a creative. Uh, it's not just because of the etiquette and the the parasocial aspects of platform economies and building a presence there. It's also the fact that it just takes way less work than any of the other things. Like today, to be honest, like it's impossible not to have to use social media. You are going to have to use social media, of course, to build your stuff. But I think that social media is, in a way, a means to growing your mailing list, and that should be the strategy most TTRPG small creators take, rather than a mailing list when it is even used, which like I think most people don't use mailing lists. Not just as an added thing. I have a Blue Sky and a YouTube and a mailing list. It has to be the thing that you're building up to. Unfortunately, also like the fact that the indie TTRPG scene has mostly been based off of platforms like Blue Sky, um, has made it so that even the way we design games is conditioned to that. Jam culture, what me and some colleagues calls games for the post, where you design a game uh, basically made to be a post to drive engagement. Like that sort of thing is just something that changes completely if you shift mainly to being based on a mailing list, because you won't be, mailing people each time you come up with like a micro game and stuff like that, which is not a bash on micro games or small games. Like there's a lot of people that legitimately like design them and do them out of the sheer joy it causes, but a lot of people have sort of like been roped into the dynamics of designing for these platforms and being burned out by it. I've seen it myself. I have several contacts with people that have been burned out by that kind of thing. So there's a huge differential in labor in what entails curating a social media presence and just writing a couple emails a year. So I really do hope that this guide helped you guys develop a healthier way of building an audience, one that like may also like provide you a safety net. To be honest, like it over the years, having the mailing list there, even if I didn't dedicated the time that I should have for it, has been such a relief. Especially after leaving Twitter and stuff like that. So yeah, it's hard to really get the degree of difference that this makes on the long run in the ways we design games, in the ways we connect with people and stuff. So yeah, I hope the guide was fruitful to you and that you get that mailing list sorted ASAP. So yeah, if you like my stuff, you can basically go to orocana.com and sign up to my mailing list, or also go to my Patreon. Orocana has a Patreon, and I have like other stuff there that is really cool, like this comprehensive guide to TTRPG art and licensing that is free to access and is like super big and super comprehensive if you want to learn about art. and stuff. So yeah, I hope you liked it, and I'll see you around. Peace.